Hi, Genki Call here. There is a ton going on this week, and by now you probably know some, if not all, of the things, but just in case, I'm going to go over everything. I just hope I don't forget anything. We are in Zaejin, Land of the Goblins this week. I'll go over all of the troops that you can get with your keys and the ones you can't get with their keys. Let's see, things I don't want to forget. Let's start with campaign because that's what I normally start with, and these are your tasks. Win 30 battles, match 800 green gems, win 15 PvP battles. Easy peasy. Already got those done on autoplay today. We're just going to collect all these things and I will show you what your rewards will be for this week. Hold on, hold on. I'm going to pause this while it does this. It's so slow. All right, back in here. Campaign pass, what you will get this week. Some gold, some trait stones, 80 shards, and level 2 of the Dread Captain's Chest, and that is going to give us what kind of buff this week? This week we got +5 health, so cool. I did not mean to click on that. I meant to click on that. Okay, so Legends Reborn this week. Legends Reborn, I will explain very quickly here. You can get into it here or from Madonna. And basically, you are collecting every time you defeat yellow enemies, you are going to get these arcane cores. And to use these arcane cores, you just go in here and you can start grabbing stuff. As soon as you unlock them, you get to unlock these freebies. And the freebie this time is the Clockwork Pony, which boosts the Clockwork Knight. I mean, this stuff is all free, just for you playing the game. And then at tier, this one, it's gems to get tier 2 here. And this is to boost Tesla. Absolutely worth boosting Tesla. You know, boosting her magic's not going to do anything, but any kind of boost you can get for Tesla is absolutely worth it for me. Now, it's 100 gems for the first tier, 150 gems for the next tier. These things aren't cumulative. You have to pay for each one as you go, which is why I won't be getting the third tier, which is Tina's toy. Now, do I want to boost for Tina? Absolutely. Tina rocks, but I'm not going to pay 80 bucks to get it maxed out. If you total everything together, it's $80. And sure, you get these additional things with it, and you get all of this stuff in this final row here as well. I'll just wait for the event to be over, and at some point, someone in my guild will find, or myself, will find a pet gnome that will give us this pet. I can wait. It's okay. These, however, I'm not waiting on because Tesla is one of my favorite troops to use, especially in delving, and I'm being a little long-winded. There's a lot to talk about. So next up, we've got the trials. As far as the trials go, if your stats are high enough to be working on the epic trials, then hopefully they're high enough to just throw this onto auto battle. I won all but one of these on auto battle. I just tried one. Let's see, I did level 250, I think, just to see what it was like to do this team. But I want all of the others on autoplay. But, you know, maybe I'll still put out a video on tactics for this. I don't know. I just left it with the original setup here, and it worked absolutely fine. Now, no, I'll go over tactics later. Yeah, this worked on autoplay, no problem. All right, next up we have, oh yes, we have the Underspire as usual. Hopefully you're getting used to the Underspire. Of course, it's all Zaejin troops. I can't click on it. Oh, of course I can't click on that. I have to click on the battle. Don't mind me. I'm a little tired. I'm always a little tired though. That's nothing new, so no worries. Anyway, Underspire, you know, if you've got Gob Truffle, you're pretty good to go because he loops so nicely. And as far as that goes, tomorrow, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but tomorrow we have a Manathrax, and Gob Truffle. Your pure faction team is for Gob Truffle. If you have your horde at least 105 to get the explosion and enchant, you should be good to go with this because, you know, I had to have this I had to have my kingdom at level 17 for the faction horde stat bonuses to get this done myself. Um, because there were no potions when I did it. No potions, no enchant, no explosion, no nothing. It was a lot harder, but it should be really easy nowadays. Anyway, next up, let's go ahead and head into the shop. We'll grab our spoils of war. You're definitely going to want these because there are some really good stuff in the drop table. The 10 event keys for this amount of glory is a great deal in my opinion because it's just a great deal. It just is. It just is. Take my word for it. All right, head over into the weekly event and grab the Bomb Rider. This is our glory troop for the week. He's not bad. He explodes a row, and so that's taking that row and they're exploding, so you're actually taking out 3 rows when you use this guy, and he gets an extra turn. So you're going to get some mana gen. He's cheap. So absolutely grab him, and the thing is, I grab the glory troop every week up to mythic level. It doesn't make him a mythic, it just means that you can ascend him to mythic level and get a level 20 troop for the kingdom when you need it for your power level. So also you get all of the pretty things here as well. So it's really nice not to have to grind for these trait stones, and you get all of these other things as well. So there is that done. Next we have what you can get with your event keys this week. Oh, there's some good stuff in here. One of the most wanted troops of all time in the game, High King Iron Gut. That is your #1 troop to try for if you don't have him yet, because he is definitely amazing. I might do that, but not right now. All right, so let me show you what else you can get. I have my bad. I have a Mythic Spotlight on High King Iron Gut that will explain exactly how to use him. It has teams and for PvP and for delving, whatever you want. I mean, there are lots of new teams that have come out since then, but it explains basically how High King Iron Gut works. If you want to check that out, it'll pop up in the last 15 seconds of this video, and I will go over him briefly, but let's go in order here. First off, we have Fairy Godmother. She gains an extra turn just straight off the bat, just like any goblin. They all get an extra turn unless they're frozen. And she's either going to create 2 to 3 wish gems, or deal damage to all enemies boosted by wish gems, or give life to all other allies boosted by wish gems. The boost is ×5 so each wish gem on the board is going to add 5 to these purple numbers. Now, as far as the wish gem goes, the wish gem, you have to blow it up, and it's going to do one of 3 things. It's either going to give one of your troops full mana, it's going to give your whole team full mana, or it's going to give your full team and all of the enemies full mana. So I tend not to like to use this troop myself because I don't like the uncertainty of using her. It's a personal preference. Bibbidi bobbidi boom! Never noticed that till just now. That made me crack up. Okay, next we have the Flaming Oni, who's pretty cool. He is going to convert 2 red gems to burning gems at the start of every turn. He's immune to burning and fairy fire, and he starts a firestorm at the start of battle. As for his spell, he summons 3 random goblins. Just summons them. If you have the open spots, he's going to summon 3 random goblins, or 1 to 3, depending on how many spots that you have open. He's going to explode a bunch of green gems and gain an extra turn. So, he's good. He's good. But High King Iron Gut is the bomb. He's going to do a little bit of damage to an enemy with a chance to devour equal to my attack and gain an extra turn unless he's frozen. I'm going to keep saying that. Unless they're frozen. It doesn't matter if it's part of their spell or whatever. If they're frozen, they don't get the extra turn. I'm just going to say that now and stop saying it. Okay, so what this means is the attack. For me, I have a 73% chance to devour my enemies. Of course, if I put him on a team, let's just, let me find him. Well, sure, we'll put it on this team. If I put him here, that amount goes up to 76% just on this team. It just depends on what class you're using and what troops you have on there. But anyway, let's just close that for the moment. So, High King Iron Gut is amazing. Check out that video at the end. Next up, we have the Goblin King. As far as legendaries go, he's not great. He removes all gems of a chosen color. You don't get any mana out of it. You simply deny that color to your enemy. You gain 8 life boosted by the gems removed. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you remove 10 gems, you'll get an additional 5 life, which is basically nothing. And summon a goblin and gain an extra turn. He does get plus 20 to his life if in the last position, which is okay, but this troop needs a buff. He's just not very good. In my opinion, he's completely useless. But that's just me. You will not be able to get King Gob Truffle or the Fool or the Explode Stool as far as the things on the board that you can see right now. These 3, this one is in the vault only. These 2 are from a Manathrax, which is, as I showed you, in the underworld, you have to get them with your Chaos Shards at a Manathrax. Next up is Queen Grapplepot. She's going to do damage to all enemies boosted by ally and enemy goblins, an additional 3 damage for each, and get the extra turn. I'm going to stop saying the extra turn part because otherwise I'm going to be talking forever because every single one of them gets one. And all allied goblins gain 5 life on 4+ gem matches. Then we have Smash Mouth. This is the last of the legendaries. He's going to do damage to an enemy, knock them to the back, drain 7 mana from all enemies below them. So, to have him at the most efficient, you want to hit the first enemy. But anyway, he does drain that mana. And I think people really forget about this troop because we just forget about him. I just never think about using him personally. He does have skull damage reduction by 25%, and he will bleed and silence the first enemy anytime he deals skull damage. So there is that. Next up, we have Brian the Clucky. I loved the campaign when this came out. It made me so happy. It made me laugh like crazy because it's Brian the Lucky turned into a chicken. He will eliminate points of a random skill from all enemies. And I believe when I used him, it was a random skill for each of them. I don't think it was like remove points from life from all enemies. It was different for each enemy, I think. Don't quote me on that. That can be good. It could be anything, though. It might be their magic. It could be any of these values. You just don't know what you're going to get with it. And I don't like the uncertainty, as I mentioned before. So I tend not to use them. Now, this is not a goblin, so you don't get an extra turn on this one. 10% chance to create a wish gem at the start of the turn, become enraged when an enemy dies, which makes him nice to put up at the front of the team, and skull damage reduction by a little bit. Next is Brian the Lucky, whom I just mentioned. I prefer Brian the Clucky because he makes me laugh, but Brian the Lucky is going to give all other allies points to a random skill. So on the other, it removes points of a random skill from an enemy, and for this one, it gives points to your team instead. And you can't silence him, which is funny because if you did the storyline, you really want to shut this guy up because he's a pain. Anyway, you get you get Brian the Lucky just from doing the storyline here, so you probably already have him. He does deal double skull damage versus goblins, so he's kind of useful for that, I guess. Next is Fundingus, who, he just seems like he should be a legendary to me, but he's not. He explodes a bunch of purple gems and then summons either a giant toadstool or an explode stool. Extra turn, of course. Poison when I take skull damage, disease when doing skull damage, and he's immune to disease and lycanthropy. Next is the Hell Cackle. He is our God Slayer. He's got that 3 to 5 times damage on both the skulls and the spell. He's stealthy, which is very cool. And so these God Slayers can be used against anything with a red border, no matter what it is. If it has a red border, he's going to do, or these will do damage, 3 to 5 times damage to those anything with a red border. And he gets an extra turn, so he's a good one to use for that. Next up, we have the Knobend brothers. Knobend is a word in Australia or is it New Zealand? Anyway, I always thought it was no bend, but it's Knobend. Anyway, gain an extra turn and either eliminate attack from all enemies or deal damage to all enemies or explode gems. No matter what he does, it's going to be something very useful and you're going to get an extra turn. So this is one of the few either or type of things that I don't mind. I still would rather know what is going to happen, but no matter what, it's going to be something useful. And he has enemy gem masteries. That means there's half the chance for them to get a what's the word, 80 mana search and 20% chance to dodge skull damage. Next is Princess Fizzbang. She's going to get the extra turn and either explode all green gems or give points of a random skill to a random ally. And if the ally is a goblin, deal double the effect. She is in the epic trials and actually pretty useful if she hits the right troop. She is also stealthy, so she can't be targeted, and she gets a little extra magic for each green ally. Sir Snothelm, oh, this thing is so ugly. The snot, I'm not fond of the snot. Anyway, damage to an enemy, web and entangle them, get an extra turn. You know, he can be useful. He's definitely a pain to fight if you're using magic, but if you're using skulls, he's still a pain to fight if he hits that first trip because he entangles. I'm talking a lot tonight. Hope you're keeping up with me, okay? Double skull damage versus diseased enemies, which makes him good to run with Gob Truffle because Gob Truffle diseases random enemies, but then again, he's not available in the drop table, so I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. Anyway, skull damage reduction by 25%. Slug Hoarder. You cannot get Slug Hoarder in the drop. He is not in the drop table right now. You must get him in the invasion shop. Cannot get him with your event keys. You can't get him any way at all except for the invasion shop, and I will show you in just a little bit. String Fiddler is amazing. He silences an enemy, explodes gems of one of their mana colors, gets the extra turn. He's very, very annoying to fight because of the silence, and he's mana gen as well, and he summons a leaf storm at the start of battle, so you know, I think he's a really, really good troop that I hate to fight. Toad Squeezer. Anyway, Slug Hoarder, I'm so sorry. I didn't go over this because he's in Invasion and you can't get him in the drop table, but he is a Siege Breaker, so is Toad Squeezer. He does 3 to 5 times damage versus towers. Don't use Toad Squeezer in the event unless you also have Slug Hoarder on your team, because otherwise you're missing out on double points. You have to have Slug Hoarder for the double points. I'll go over that again in another video. I've already gone over it twice, but I'm going to go over it again. Anyway, he's a Siege Breaker, that 3 to 5 times damage, gain an extra turn, and explode gems or enchant all other allies. Oh, that's so much to go over, and I am just taking forever to go through this stuff. Turtle Cannon. Explode a gem, create 4 green gems boosted by skulls destroyed with a ×3 boost ratio. This thing can actually flood the board with green. It's amazing. It's a really, really good troop. I was happy to see it in the trials because it is very good mana gen for green, and burns enemies when doing skull damage and reduces damage from skulls by 50%. So it's nice to have him on the epic team. Black Beastkin, he's great for arena. He devours an ally. Yes, he devours an ally. Heals back to full and creates 6 skull gems. You know, unless you have something to summon in its place, like, you know, anything to summon in its place, whether it's a weapon or a troop, summoning I would never use him, but he is an option. But, it's something. You put him up at the front of the team, you devour something quickly. When you devour, of course, you're adding all of their stats to your own, except for magic. You're adding all of these stats to your own. And so you make a great tank. You just devour, I mean, you just kill them with skulls. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Bomb Rider, I already went over this guy. Yes, I did. And Dynamite Goat, he is going to knock an enemy to the back, explode 2 gems, boosted by their life. 10-to-1 ratio, so if they have 100 health, that's a lot. If they have 100 health, he'll blow up 10 additional gems, right? Okay, cool. You do have the Fire Link, which is really nice. It does feed back into itself. Skull damage reduction. Fungomancer, you can't get. This is from a Manithrax as well. Goblin Bomber is going to explode 3 random gems and, of course, gain the extra turn. He's immune to some stuff. He has the gem masteries, and he's greedy. He's a greedy guts. He gets you some extra gold. Next, we have the Goblin Rocket. This guy is so funny. Explode a gem. Deal some light splash damage. If you don't know what that is, it's right here. Light splash damage to a random enemy and gain an extra turn, of course. Again with the Fire Link, and burn enemies when doing skull damage. Next, we have the Gorbel. I hate fighting the Gorbel in Delves because he has a chance to devour you every time he casts his spell. That's great for you, but, if you have him on your team. But I'd rather take something with me that has a bit of a higher chance of devouring personally, because otherwise he's just a mana converter. And immune to Hunter's Mark is nice, and that's about it. Hobgoblin, damage to an enemy and a random enemy. So if you don't have any AoE options, this is a good one to take because at least you're hitting 2 enemies, not just 1. Extra turn, 20% chance to dodge skull damage, and that's about it. Priest of Nilbog. Now this guy is significant because he's going to give life to all allies and barrier all goblin allies with the extra turn. Despite the fact that he's pretty strong, I really haven't ever seen him on a team. But he is pretty strong. I think he's pretty good. And he starts a Leaf Storm at the start of the battle. I think most goblins use green. Obviously not all of them because he doesn't. But anyway, I gotta get a drink. Hold on. But he also, I already said summons a Leaf Storm. My bad. Moving on, Rogueling. She is also good because she hits 2 random enemies. That's 2 random enemies. You don't get to choose either one of them. Boosted by green allies, times 3 boost ratios, so an extra 3 damage for each green ally, which includes herself. And you get the extra turn. She's greedy and stealthy as well. Boar Rider, remove a row and deal damage to the first enemy, gain an extra turn. They remove a row. It does nothing. Okay, maybe you can set up a skull cascade by doing that, or set up a match 4, but you're not going to get any mana out of the row that you remove. You won't get any mana from that, but you might get some from a skull cascade or a mana or gem cascade. Next, the Bugbear. This guy does damage to an enemy boosted by their missing life, 2-to-1 ratio. So if they're missing 10 life, then it'll be 5 extra damage. If they're missing 100 life, it'll be 50 extra damage. So skull damage reduction, and then we have Goblet. She entangles the first 2 enemies and gives half mana to the first 2 allies. I don't like she's a bounty hunter. I'm not fond of this troop, except she is very cute. I do like that. Goblin Shaman is going to create 7 green gems and give life to a random ally and get an extra turn. It's not a lot, but early on this mana gen can be very, very helpful. Of course, extra life is always nice, but if there's a lot of green on the board, it could be helpful. And then this is the last of the Manithrax troops. We've got Scavenger, who's going to deal damage to 1 enemy and create 7 purple gems, which is just weird. I don't know why purple, not much here uses purple. I mean, Priest of Nil. Well, no, actually, quite a few use purple now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, it's also Bounty Hunter, and yeah, that's about it. Two more. Giant Toadstool. This is something that you can summon with Fundingus. I hate fighting this thing because there's a 20% chance to get transformed into a giant toadstool when you fight it, or you can do that to them, but I hate the transform gimmick in this game. I don't want to transform their stuff. That's why I hate lycanthropy, because I don't want to transform them if they're almost dead. If they have one hit point left and you transform them, suddenly they have full everything again. They've got full everything again, and I hate that. Anyway, he does create gems of a chosen enemy's mana color. You don't get to pick what color unless they only have one, so I'm not fond of this troop, but it does make a meat shield, so poison enemies when doing skull damage. Lastly, we have the Goblin. Everyone has this troop. It's the first troop you get in the game. He does damage to an enemy and gets an extra turn. Plus, you have the Nature Link, which is very nice. Double skull damage versus humans, and he's greedy. So, that took forever. Oh yeah, what else do we have to go over? Let's head into Invasion, and let me grab my tributes very quickly here, because I need my tributes. Yes, Guild. Let's head into Invasion for just a second so I can show you that, once again, Slug Hoarder is only available in the shop here. You just only have to buy through tier 2 to get him. Of course, if you want to get him leveled up, you're either going to have to buy more tiers, or you're going to have to use some Orbs of Ascension. But if you want Slug Hoarder, this is the only way to get him. Another Invasion video is coming later with teams and all that stuff, so we're going to work on that later. And of course, I'll go have a Soul Forge video too, but don't get this from the Soul Forge. Get it from the event shop. All right, next up, let me see what's next. So much going on this week. Hold on a second. All right, so let's go over what else we've got coming up this week. We have some exciting stuff. We have some very exciting stuff coming up this week, but let's talk about it right now. So tomorrow is Tuesday. We have the Faction Assault for Manathrax. Wednesday we have Gobblekin. I think this is Gobblekin for the Pet Rescue. Then we have on Thursday, we have the Thief class trial. I highly recommend working on this if you don't have it maxed yet. It's a very good class, especially for gold farming. And this Friday, we have two amazing things happening this Friday. First of all, we've got Mythic Friday. We have a new Mythic coming out. So that's point number one. Point number two, it's Vault Weekend. We've got the Gnomies coming in again. Woohoo! We do love the Gnomies. So, save your Gnomapaloozas, as always, to use during the Vault event. We'll be able to find more Vault keys that way. Also, there will be, of course, lots of gnomes out, but we can also find those verse gnomes that you need to make the Gnomapaloozas. Oh, that was a lot. Oh, that was a lot. Okay, so I believe that is everything. If I've forgotten anything, let me know. Let me know your thoughts as well in the comments below. I did forget to mention one thing, and that is the pet that you will get for completing epic trials, and that is the Starry Black Beastkin, which of course is going to be a boost for your Zaejin teams. So anyway, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you folks soon. Bye-bye!